pleasure of working with Mandy back at the city when we worked for Mayor Franklin. And so we worked together, and I actually worked in enterprise assets management and in the mayor's office as a deputy. And I was able to, we worked on several initiatives on updating facilities, doing green programs. And I remember Mandy giving me the pledge of the 10 things that you agree to do, you know, not recycle at home. And do you remember that? I'm talking about you, Mandy, about just 10 things. It was like this pledge of things that you're going to do, not just at the workplace, but what you're going to do at home to be sustainable. And I remember doing that survey and then going home, and I told my family, you know, we have to recycle. We're already recycling, but not as probably conscientiously as we should, and which is ironic because we came from Austin. We were in Austin for 4 years, and that was like recycling capital, and that was one of my responsibilities. So I just, in Georgia, it was a little bit more relaxed. So when I got that tip, it was a reminder that we should get home, you know, that I should be doing more things around the environment at home personally. So I started talking to my kids about it, and my son said, I think we should charge everybody 25 cents if they don't recycle. I thought that was tremendous. But one of the things that reminds me is that there's just very little ways, you know, everybody can participate and everybody can be more sustainable. And sometimes when we have conversations about sustainability, it's really up here. Nobody knows what the definition is. But there's a lot of small things that we all can do to contribute to that. And then from an organization perspective, there's a lot of different things that we can do to just advance that. So I have been on my own little sustainability charge at that time and when I worked in Austin. And even here, we're doing a lot of things so we can be paperless. I'm a big technology person, so I don't even carry a notepad. I just have my iPad most of the time. And I've been orienting our team to do more of that. So many of you may or may not know, before coming to Habitat, I've been here just about a year. And prior to that, I worked at the Beltline. So the Beltline for 5.5 years as COO, and then I was working with Mandy at the city and Mayor Franklin's administration the last 2.5 years. And I've been in public administration for the last 25 years. So city manager, assistant city manager, county manager, assistant county manager, those types of roles. So big policy roles. So it relates to like good policy, good practices. I've seen the gamut of it, like really bad practices, really good practices. But here at Habitat, we're fortunate that kind of green building and green living is core and it's a cultural value. So even this facility, as you go around, this facility was repurposed. It was purchased back right outside of the recession in 2009. And this building was in foreclosure. And they purchased the building for $3 million. It was about an $8 million valued building, but it was in bad shape. It used to be a transmission plant. And so they used to build and reconstruct transmissions in the back in a warehouse where you'll get to see if you take the tour. And this building was repurposed into our facility, and we did a capital campaign for the facility and also the restore, and that allowed us to pay off the facility. So one of the benefits for us, we're talking about home ownership with folks, and now we actually have a building that we own clear and full. Wow. And as a nonprofit, that's really important for us because it keeps our operating costs down. And then when we go to donors and we go to sponsors, all of the dollars that really we're using for sponsorship really goes back to program objectives. And so we really have 3 streams of income. We have our restore, which you'll see, and that diverts about 8,500 tons every year. Construction materials, all different types of materials, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the presentation. And then we have mortgages. We hold our mortgages. That's a revenue stream. And then we try to do things real efficiently. So really having the cost of the building paid for allows us to share the resources with other groups like your group, as well as it allows us to keep our operating costs down. So that's just a little bit about me and about Habitat. So I'm not sure what you know, so what I did is do like a Habitat 101, 201, so it's a little bit more upgraded to make sure we're all on the same page, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we do specifically, and also our new direction. And our new direction is going to be, I think, exciting in terms of how we're looking at how we advance our mission. So, that's a house bill. So we are part of Habitat for Humanity International, which Habitat International serves 70 countries. The headquarters is actually here in Atlanta, but they don't do any work directly in Atlanta unless it's through our affiliates. So we're a loose federation. Through Habitat, we get licensing, we get core values, we work around the world with them, and then each of the 1,400 affiliates has its own board, its own operating structure, and we're basically independent operators, and so that's what we are. So we serve the Atlanta market, City of Atlanta, and South Fulton down all the way to Union City. One of the things that we'll be doing in the future is looking at how we serve other areas beyond Atlanta. So in the Habitat International Plan, they have what they call the 3 houses. Like, how can we have impact just in our communities? So that's building the houses, that's serving those communities. How can we have sector impact in the industry, in the region, in the world, and then how can we have societal impact? There's lots of issues related to housing around the country, and in many countries, the housing issues have to do with property rights. That people don't even have the ability to acquire property, much less decent and affordable housing. And so that is kind of the larger mission that we're under in what we do. So our vision and mission is we just completed our strategic plan in May. I've been on board about a year, and one of the objectives with myself and the board was let's get the strategic plan done and what's the new vision for Atlanta Habitat. And so in the past, our habitat has just been infill housing and to build our homeowners. And now we look at it in terms of being broader. We've been around for about 30 years, so how do we have broader impact? And so our new vision, very simply, is an Atlanta where all people have access to quality, affordable housing and safe, vibrant neighborhoods with opportunities to thrive. I just see that as in the neighborhoods I grew up with. I didn't grow up in a very affluent neighborhood. I grew up in a working class, moderate, maybe low income neighborhood. It was safe. We rode our bikes. It was green. Neighbors talked to each other. It was a safe place to live. And I believe that we can still have that, but we have gotten to a development practice where it's like either it's high, 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 or it's low, low, low. And what about the people that, the neighborhood I grew up in, no one would consider that. It was a nice neighborhood, but what happened to the nice, vibrant neighborhoods? So we want to be part of that in creating great communities where people can thrive. And so our mission is Atlanta Habitat for Humanity transforms communities by acting as a catalyst for change through neighborhood revitalization, and that's new for us, education, innovative development, partnerships, and long-term relationships with families. So before it was more internally focused, let's work on one person at a time. Now we're saying, how can we impact communities where people that have a lot of experience and expertise, but someone has to have a voice about creating great neighborhoods and making sure, independent of your income level, you should be able to find a great neighborhood to live in. So my mother was a licensed nurse, and my dad, my stepdad, he works for the post office. We lived in a great neighborhood. I have great memories. Today, where would my family live? Where would your families live? And I don't know what your backgrounds are, but you may have similar to me. So when I look at it, I just look at it in terms of what would I want for myself and what neighborhoods would I want to put folks into. So just a little bit of the history, and I'm going to just breeze through this, and I'll provide it electronically for Mandy so she can send it to you. The organization was started in 1983. The cost for a home was $12,000 moving in. Right? And in the 80s, we started building our volunteers, and we started building the number of homes we built to about 20. So that was the beginning of the organization. I would say in the 90s, the organization kind of ramped up with the Olympics. They had a goal of building 100 homes in Atlanta for the Olympics. That goal was achieved. And then they also did the first planned community called Mount Zion with 50 families. And by the end of the 90s, we had built 500 homes in Atlanta. Wow. So that's pretty impressive. And then in the 2000s, I think that's where things started to really leverage. We opened up our ReStore. That's just our discount store for appliances. The organization had been around for a while. Earthcraft houses, green building. We were nonprofit builder of the year, just starting to really become, a force in Atlanta, and then finished our 1000th home by the end of the 2000s. And then we come to the 2010s to the present. So one of the things that happened is we had the person who led Habitat for about 20 years, retired last year, and I came on board. And so the vision now is really how do we leverage what we have. So we built our new facilities that you're in here. We did the capital campaign. And then we're kind of here in the future, right? 2016. And we just finished our strategic plan. And so what we want to do now is, as we talked about, is how do we look at having greater impact beyond the households. And three words that we use here is build, thrive, grow. And with build, one of the things we want to do is we build infrastructure, we build the capacity of people, and we build communities. Thrive is where we want to see the people in those communities thrive and do better. And that means our families, that means their children, and being very intentional about setting up programs that our students can be in. So we're talking to, a good example would be, we have a partnership with the Police Foundation. We want safe neighborhoods, so we need to get officers in those neighborhoods. Is there a program where we can get recruits into Habitat homes? Absolutely. They're in that income bracket, believe it or not, when they're starting out. But it's a great benefit as it relates to community policing. Some of the issues going on right now are issues that can be tackled better when police officers live in those neighborhoods that they serve. So that's one of the things we're doing. And we actually have a recruit that just signed up to lease one of our homes. And that's kind of the first step. And then we have some other work that we're doing with the Police Foundation. Our goal is to really, in the next 12 to 18 months, to have a couple of officers in our most challenged neighborhoods. And then I'll talk about grow later. So our goals out of our strategic plan are increased home ownership. So that was our builds. I mean, I put our goals into build, drive goals. I need to update my slideshow. But increasing home ownership just means looking at different housing types. So today we do single-family homes, but there are other business models around the country where Habitats do townhomes, where they do live-work units, where they do multifamily, where they do senior housing, where they do just different products. And so for our Habitat, we've done like one product. So we're looking at how can we do other products and how can we mix up our design. I mean, one of the things I heard like 1,000 times is I drive through the neighborhood and I can point out the homes. And we don't want that. We want those homes to blend in to those neighborhoods. And we want those to be the nicest homes in the neighborhood. At least I do in terms of that design. And good design doesn't cost. It's just you have to be really thoughtful around it. Focus on the target neighborhoods. We have 3 neighborhoods that we're focused on. On the west side, we're focused on English Avenue. We are focused on Dixie Hills. We have a subdivision called Verbena there. We have about 57 homes that we're building in that neighborhood. We built about 30. And that's just off of right behind Douglas High School in Atlanta is where that subdivision is located. And then build Habitat's capacity. How do we leverage and scale? You know, we have a great model to build 50 homes. We'll probably build 51 this year, but that's with 13,000 volunteers and 60 staff. If I doubled that, I don't want 26,000 volunteers. I don't want to have, and at 200 staff, right, or 150 staff to do that. So one of the things we're talking about is how do we grow and scale our product, which is back to housing types, and how can we be more innovative in our development and how we serve. The great news is around the country, other Habitats, we're in the top 10 of Habitats in terms of production of houses, probably in terms of wherewithal financially, fundraising, all those types of measures. But the other people in the top 10, they're doing a lot of these models, which means they can really have a greater impact. We did a study when we did the strategic plan that told us the need for affordable housing is about 50,000 people. And we serve 50 houses a year. So imagine that scale and trying to address that issue. How can we be more impactful around that? And then I think the growth is also, we serve South Fulton to Union City. We really haven't built beyond East Point. And so we're going to look at, do we need to have an operation south? Because one of the things we know is poverty is shifting to the suburbs, but there's no services there. And so we'll probably, in the future, also have a satellite operation that serves South Fulton County and really try to serve that need. If you think about 60,000 people work at the airport, on average, many of those people would fit well within our programs, but they're either traveling far out to get in, or they cannot find affordable housing that would be in service to them. So that's where we see growth. And then the other thing we're looking at, which is, so this is a picture of last year, all the homes that we built and what we serve. But the other thing we're looking at is how can we do, I'm calling it mixed income, mixed amenity neighborhoods, because in a lot of the communities we serve, like in the past, we've done a subdivision, it's all habitat. We really feel like it needs to have a mixture of income. So back to the great neighborhoods that you build. So one of the things we're doing right now is we have an option for a 40-acre parcel, and we're looking to have where that parcel would have green space in it, where we would use the detention pond, similar to like what they're doing at Historic Ward Park, where we would have an urban garden on site, where we would have townhomes and single family, and maybe even live work there, like 2-story, live on the top, work on the bottom. And so we're actually master planning this property, and we're hoping to get some funding so we can do a pilot around some of the aspects of making it a really nice, affordable community with different amenities, walking trails, like, so it would be a subdivision, and it would be in the area where we had our first subdivision, Mount Zion. So we're working on that actively right now. But one of the things we wanted to do is incorporate that sustainability within how we build new communities and how we look at the way we build. So we actually are partnering with Trees Atlanta, and they're going to do a tree preservation study with us, and we have other partners that we're looking at, so we can do something a little bit more unique than kind of our traditional homes. So this is what we've done. The hammers are Repair with Kindness. I'll talk a little bit about that. That's our new critical repair program. And then Brush with Kindness is just an incentive program for our existing homeowners. So one of the things I'd like to talk about a little bit is our economic impact. So this is interesting. I showed you the homes. We had $6 million in investment last year between the homes, what we brought on the property roll, we had almost $500,000, and we had, most importantly, 21 of our homeowners paid off their loans. So in terms of I think it's on the next slide. Yeah. This is a profile for our homeownership program. That person has to be 30 to 80% of median income, good financial standing. They have to lease their home for a year, have to take 12 courses on homeowner maintenance, and they have to do sweat equity with us. But I wanted to show you that this is our average homeowner, that we had people pay off their mortgage, pay off their entire mortgage. So $31,000 a year, and 2 or 3 kids in that family, and single family, female-headed households, very high group. But I think it's important because the people that we serve in our program would never be able to get a mortgage. But we have in our program, just in 1 year, 21 people paying off their mortgages. So I feel like that's a really good indicator that if you have a good, strong program that builds capacity, you actually can make a dent on some of the issues related to affordability. It can be done. So I think this is an important slide for us in terms of what we do. All right. Just critical repair, as far as our neighborhood revitalization program, one of the things we would do is we would come in and build on a lot, but next to the lot would be blight. So there might be an existing homeowner, a veteran, an elderly person that lives in the neighborhoods, live in the neighborhoods for years. They fall within the same income categories as our group, and so we've been raising money to do grants to do critical repair. We started this program in December, and we did the first homeowners, and they had lived in their neighborhood for 40 years. The husband was 92, and the wife was 88. And for our program, we have sweat equity. We have our habitat philosophy is hand up, not hand out. And so everyone was saying, did they do sweat equity? Yes, they did. They did. So no one can tell me that they can't do it. So the husband painted. When you go to the warehouse, we have painting in the back. And we have all kinds of volunteer activities for our homeowners to do. And the wife was a breeder at our restore. When you came in, we have today's Wild Wednesday. So I hope when you guys go on the tour, you can roll the ball and you can get up to 30 or 40% off any item. We have some designer items in there right now. So anyway, this critical repair is geared at people that live in the neighborhoods. So we don't come in and do something to the neighborhood. What can we do for people that live there? And it's part of seeing, block by block, how do we improve the block? How do we improve the community? And so this program, the repairs on average are up to $20,000, but they're usually between 10 and 15. So it's roofs, doors, windows, ramps, sidewalks, landscaping, and some aesthetics. And then the participants become part of our program. We've already done about 4, and we have more than 8 in process. We're probably about 15 right now. And we also have a focus on veterans. So veterans anywhere in Atlanta, and people in the 3 neighborhoods that I talked about earlier. And that program is very interesting because there's a huge amount of need. But when you talk about revitalizing communities, the first thing is curb appeal when you drive through the neighborhood. So being able to do this program means we can really start seeing some impact. So we're making an investment of a home, $135,000, $130,000 home. But next to it, is something that's blighted. But it's not. It may not be because people don't want it to be that way. They don't have the capacity. And so we helped this elderly couple. They've been in the neighborhood for a long time. So they were very happy. We were very happy. And that program is going pretty well for us. So we figure by the end of the year, we probably would have done about 20 to 25. So pretty new program, but very impactful to our families. And so I was talking a little bit about our restore. Our restore is, the concept of the restore is that there's contractors, there's vendors, and there's all types of things that people need to recycle or they want to donate. And so instead of them going to landfills or ending up in landfills, we will take them and then we will resell them. But we have a lot of items that are new, a good percentage of our items. We have like boutique furniture stores, we have some of the different distributors that will give us brand new items, scratch and dent. So right now, for the last 2 or 3 months, we've just developed a new partnership where we're getting almost brand new appliances, Whirlpool appliances, stoves, ranges, refrigerators, and we sell them for 50% of value. So great deal for the public and then for donations. And then also in terms of diversion, it's allowed us to divert about 8,500 tons of material since it opened, which is significant if you think about that stuff going to landfills. And so then here's a little bit about our green building. So that's an example of our house. That was, depending on the lot, it may be up. There are some other ones you'll see in here. And then for this, we look at, and I'm not going to read it to you, but in terms of our sustainability, our site preparation and development, we're really intentional about that in terms of where drainage goes. How are we putting homes on different lots? How much trees do we have on those lots? What are we doing to preserve that? Our home design, we have the ceilings, the floors, they're all, identified so that they can be sustainable. We have Green Advantage certificates for all of our house leaders. We have ductwork certified. We built our walls in the warehouse to minimize, scrap of lumber and all those different things. And we ground up the construction debris on site and reuse it.